Hi. Just enjoying 5 minutes of just nice thunder. Like, things are brewing, things are cooking, and it's raining, but it doesn't reach me because I'm under a tree, so it's really nice. Feels like a cocoon. There was all kinds of duckies before. It was really cool. Now it's just watching. Like, literally just watching. Yes? Are you monitoring me or just watching me? Yes? Thank you very much. The language of universal language. Are you going to give me food? That's what she's saying. Like, I don't really care about your well-being. Just, you have food? Yeah? No? That's the look when you don't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that one. The guilt. Passive guilt. I'm like, oh, sorry I didn't bring any food. Sorry. But yeah, I'm back. It's been a while. Took me a while. Now I'm in the period of waiting for confirmation, answer, whatever. You know, when you're in a period that you need to be like patient. But for those who are not patient, this is what patient looks like. Yeah. Just sit down. Talk to God or nature, whatever you want to call it. But staying high above, but still, you know, doing what you got to do. A lot of us, we're not okay, right? This is your check-in. It's that face, you know? That one. Anyways, no judgment. No judging. It's just check in, right? Check in with the self. Like, that's the message today. And also that too, like, you know, nature, they're always so willing. Like, now I know, next time I should have some food in my bag, just in case. Why not? It's like an offering for nature when you are enjoying nature. I don't know. Not that she asked for it, but it's just nice. It's nice balance. It's not just taking. It's giving as well. Reciprocal. We should learn what that means. It will make a lot of our life much simpler. And get rid of capitalism, white supremacy, racism, and all that fucking bullshit, right? Get out of the status quo, right? That one too. Liberation. Can you smell it? I can taste it. It tastes like rain. Or like a rainbow, maybe. Although, probably don't know what it tastes like, but maybe that's what rainbow tastes like. Liberation from oppression. Just imagine. I love this sound. Anyways, good thing my phone is waterproof. Well, if we didn't know that, if we're testing it out, we're testing it right now. Let's see if it survives. Feels really nice. But now we should be finding shelter, so I'm gonna, because now it's raining really hard. Okay. But yeah, the message is to be patient, even through the rain and stuff and situations that need to happen first. A lot of you like blockages, like financially, has been like, so get ready for that. Because that's your hard work and stuff like that you have been nurturing for a couple of years, right? The good way. You know the good way. You know which way is that. Okay, I'm just gonna go find somewhere more shelter. Yay.
This American doctor have a very important message for you to hear, and it's gonna take only 2 minutes of your time. Just share it so others can see it also.
End of April for the first couple weeks. And then there's sniper bullets. I have children that were shot twice.
Wait, you're saying that children in Gaza are being shot by snipers?
Definitively. I have 2 children that I have photographs of that were shot so perfectly in the chest I couldn't put my stethoscope over their heart more accurately, and directly on the side of the head in the same child. No toddler gets shot twice by mistake by the world's best sniper. And they're dead center shots.
In fact, more than 20 doctors recently in Gaza
also told Sunday Morning about gunshot wounds to children. One American doctor told us he even reviewed CT scans to confirm what he saw because he, quote, didn't believe that this many children could be admitted to a single hospital with gunshot wounds to the head. So, of all the disaster zones you've seen, how does Gaza compare?
All of the disasters I've seen combined, 40 mission trips, 30 years, ground zero, earthquakes, all of that combined doesn't equal the level of carnage that I saw against civilians in just my first week in Gaza.
And when you say civilians, is it mostly children?
Almost exclusively children. I've never seen that before. Never seen that. I've seen more incinerated children than I've ever seen in my entire life combined. I've seen more shredded children in just the first week.
Shredded?
Shredded.
What do you mean?
Missing body parts, being crushed by buildings, the greatest majority, or bomb explosions, the next greatest majority. We've taken shrapnel as big as my thumb out of 8-year-olds.
The UN reports that to date, more than 80% of Gaza's population has been displaced and the majority of its buildings destroyed. A reality which has taken its own toll on the well-being of children. What about the emotional wounds?
How can you measure that? I can't measure my own. How do you be an orphan and watching your family, melted in front of you and shredded in front of you? How do you fix that? Ever fix that?
In fact, so many Palestinian children have had family members killed that doctors created a shorthand term, WCNSF, wounded child, no surviving family.
Even the carnage on the children alone, when I say that if you stand with that country, you have lost your humanity, I mean it. I'm not gonna say more after what Dr. Mark have said. Just don't forget to share this video, do it, put it to your stories, and let everybody hear that interview. And see you next video. Ciao.
No, some of you aren't getting it. Do you see that? That is a precision strike. That is what the occupation is capable of when they're trying to target one area, one apartment. That is a multi-story building, and they only took out one apartment. Do you want to know who they were targeting? This is who they were targeting. These babies were 4 days old. This is a photo of them right after they were born. You see, beautiful, tiny, newborn? Yeah, they were targeting them, their mom, and their grandmother. The father had left to go get their birth certificates. He wasn't there. Do you know what they have to do to carry out a strike like that? They use a very specific kind of JDAM missile that's got a very low yield, and it requires that they point a laser at their target, which means that they have to have reconnaissance. They use infrared to see into the building they've shown us before. They can see who is in there, and they can determine whether they are male or female or adult or child. They determine it based off of body heat and shape. There were 4 people in that apartment. 2 of them were 4 days old. One of them was their mom, and the other was their grandmother. They knew that he wasn't there. They specifically targeted 2 newborn babies, their mother and their grandmother. Why? Dr. Juman Arfa. She had been posting to her personal Facebook page about the snipers targeting children directly in the head and chest, which she was personally witness to. They killed a woman and her children and her mother to keep her silent. They had just gotten the birth certificates for Acer and Azel. And this is what the father saw when he got home. He didn't find out that they were all gone until he got to the hospital. He was still holding their birth certificates. With full knowledge and full intent, they targeted 2 newborn babies. And the White House is waiting for them to investigate themselves.
The Olympic Games are starting in Paris, but let's take a minute and remember
that Israel has killed some of the most prominent Olympic athletes from Palestine. So let's talk about some of them. Majid Abu Madahil, the first ever Palestinian to compete in the Olympics. Because of Israel's blockades and attacks on hospitals, he was not able to get the care he needed, so a legend is no longer with us. In January, Hani al-Nastar was killed in a missile strike. He is an Olympic coach for the Palestinian football team, or to the US folks, soccer. And in that same month, Nagam Abu Samra was injured in an Israeli attack. She was supposed to compete this year in karate at the Paris Olympics, and instead her leg had to be amputated and she ended up passing away from those injuries. I've only named a few athletes that have been taken by this genocide. There are many more. We are talking about legends that have had their stories cut short. They have destroyed almost every sports facility in Gaza, and the stadiums that they were playing in are now used as detainment centers. There is nothing more disgraceful than watching the Olympics ban Russia and letting Israel, a country committing genocide, still participate in the Olympics.
Say the weird thing. People are desperately seeking realness.
I'm not sure if this is the kind of realness people are looking for, but I'm going to say it anyway. A lot of women, if not all women, they're in therapy today because of men. A lot of kids are in therapy today because of men. Like I said, I don't know if this is the kind of realness you're looking for, but I'm going to say it anyway. In a society where men are the center, men become the source of the problems. I'm a therapist, and I promise you, out of every 10 clients that I see every day, 9 are women, if not all 10. In fact, the majority of women that I see, the majority of clients that I see every day, they are women. Men are not in therapy. They are out playing golf. They are out playing tennis. They are out drinking. They are out hiking and all those things. They're not therapeutic. There is nothing therapeutic about a golf match if you're going to go back home and abuse your kids and your wife. There is nothing therapeutic about a hiking if you're coming back home to neglect your kids and wife. There is nothing therapeutic about going out to watch a soccer match if you're coming back home to abuse your wife and kids. There is nothing therapeutic about everything else that you do, for as long as you are avoiding the conversations you must be having with yourself and with someone else that can help you to objectively reflect on your life and your choices. Men are the problem. We are the problem. I am part of the problem. I promise you, if a lot of men could heal, a lot would change today. And some of you men will come here and say, hey, you're simping and you're trying to be a pick-me. But guess what? You are the real pick-me. You are the real pick-me, hiding behind expensive cars and expensive clothes, buying expensive clothes whilst neglecting your kids. You are the real pick-me. You are doing that because you want more women to see you. And you've subscribed into this red pill content that says have more money and you can have any woman you want. But guess what? The only women you'll have with your money are the women that have been damaged by another man. So we're simply recycling these women. You are the real pick-me because you're doing nothing to heal, whilst believing that if you have more money, you become the alpha male and therefore you'll have any woman you want. Your choice of women is limited to broken women, women that have been broken by men. Kids are suffering because of absent fathers. Women are struggling as single parents because of absent fathers. I promise you, men are the problem. Men are the problem. You need to heal. If you look at the type of women you're attracting, they're damaged women. Who damaged them? Some other men. Your mother has a lot of trauma. From who? Your father. Your grandmother has a lot of trauma. From whom? Your grandfather. There are more women in therapy today than there are men. And you have to understand that having more women in therapy today is the equivalent of having women in war, fighting battles whilst men are doing nothing. Yes, I said it. Having women in therapy today is an equivalent of having more women in the battlefield fighting battles whilst men are doing nothing. If men can change their ways, if men can be fully responsible and accountable, a lot will change. Because if men can heal, then they can change even their attractions. And so those broken women will have no other choice but to heal as well, because they still want to be chosen by these men. I almost forgot this part. Just in case you think I'm out here just rambling about nothing, I know there are a lot of psychologists, therapists, life coaches, and or even psychotherapists on this app. Please teach this video and share your stats. Tell us how many men you have in therapy as compared to women. I need you guys to see something. Maybe my content doesn't relate to men and therefore they might be going somewhere. And so if there's someone here who can stitch this video and share their stats, please do. Thank you.
Ignoring and acting like genocide isn't happening right now is crazy to me. Last night, Israel bombed another school during morning prayer, killing over 100 people. It is very obvious that an entire population and ethnic group is being wiped from the earth. And somehow, people still say that this is too hard or too political to talk about. If you are saying those things, at what point do you realize that you just don't care about other people's lives? Because I guarantee if you turn on the Discovery Channel and saw pandas were going extinct, that'd be the first thing you talk about in the office. Everybody would be talking about how to save them, trying to raise money, build homes for them. But for some reason, the Palestinian people can't get that same respect. I have literally seen more people get upset about Iron Man dying than real people. We are talking about a character in a movie eliciting more feelings than actual people dying. These horrific things, the sounds, the images that come from it, it's unfathomable. And somehow, I'm supposed to just exist among people that act like they don't care about this? It doesn't make sense.
I have no ties to Gaza. I'm not from there. I have no blood there. But those people treated me better than I deserved as a member of the international community. With no food, they tried to feed me, and they'll tell you the same. With no food, they tried to feed me. And when I asked them what we could do, because there was so little we could do as doctors, they said, just make sure people know we're here. They're making Gaza unlivable. They've destroyed the water infrastructure. They prevented all medical supplies in, and I can tell that by firsthand witness, not by hearsay. They refused me the medical supplies that I was able to gather over months from wonderful people in Arkansas, things like endotracheal tubes and Foley catheters, things like antibiotics and sedative medications that were denied at the border. firsthand experience. They do not allow medical supplies into children that are dying. People would come in pieces. That children would be carried in pieces by their loved ones on donkey carts and in ambulances, 4 or 5 in one ambulance. And when we got to the hospital, everything I saw on TikTok and Instagram and all the Telegram, all the stuff that we had from alternative media, because you can't be there, it was 100 times worse than I could have ever imagined. I stand here and I'll conclude with this last thought, which is the reason I lose sleep and the reason we cry tears isn't sadness anymore. It's a feeling that we have no ability, despite being from the most powerful country in the world, providing the bombs that drop on these innocent people, that we have no power to stop the bleeding. And so we call for a ceasefire and a stopping of the bleeding by stopping the sales of bombs. There's no reason that the bomb that dropped on that young woman's head had to be made in America.
The war in Sudan has now been raging for over 500 days without a single ceasefire or a steady flow of aid. It's become one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. So why is it so difficult for aid to make it in? We're in Chad, where over 630,000 refugees have escaped the violence across the border in Sudan's Darfur region. Goods and people have been moving freely between the two countries for decades. So why can't aid?
No food, no money. Best, the water is food.
Water is food?
Yeah.
We went to Chad's border with North Darfur, where fighting continues between Sudan's army and the paramilitary RSF for control of the region. Aid trucks full of medicine and food have been stuck there for weeks. Truck drivers from Darfur themselves told us they've been warned against risking the trip and facing RSF checkpoints on the road. The RSF has attacked aid convoys, warehouses, and looted supplies multiple times since the start of the war. The UN has managed to move some trucks, but not enough, and have now been slapped with stipulations by Sudan's Humanitarian Aid Commission. That means if any aid ends up in the hands of the RSF, the ban could be reinstated. As political solutions fail, aid access needs to enter Sudan to relieve besieged populations, because beyond the bombs, thousands more are dying from sickness and starvation.
Now, with the famine declaration, I hope that the world attention, which hasn't been there sufficiently, really steps up on Sudan, Darfur, this region, and that the resources will follow so that we can step up and strengthen our response.
5 myths the Canadian government wants you to believe about the Canada-Israel arms trade. 1. The Liberal government has stopped exports of arms to Israel.
Canada is to halt all arms.
This is false. The government only said it has temporarily suspended the authorization of new arms export permits to Israel since January 8, 2024. However, the Office of Minister of Foreign Affairs, Melanie Joly, has specifically said that arms export permits approved before January 8 remain in effect. The government has not canceled or suspended those permits, or any of the permits from previous years that are still open. Thus, weapons and components can continue to be transferred to Israel under hundreds of permits approved pre-January 8. It is also still encouraging the sale of Canadian weapons to Israel through the U.S., like the recent congressional approval of Canadian high-explosive mortars.
I woke up today and the first thing I saw when opening Instagram was this. Immediately, my heart sank. So as I was freaking out, I proceeded to start Googling as much as I could to make sure Al-Aqsa was still there. And to my surprise, it still was, it's still standing. And then I decided to go back to this post and read the caption. And it said, how you feel about a building being demolished is how you should feel about 40,000 civilians being unalived. And immediately it hit me. We have all gone numb to the number. 40,000 human beings in one small little area of this earth have been unalived for almost no reason. People all over this world, in countries like Sudan and the Congo and Palestine, are going through horrendous, horrifying things. And it no longer is affecting us. Every single day I wake up, I make my coffee, and I start scrolling, and all I see is images of bodies and body parts and dismembered children, and I'm officially numb to it. That is horrifying.
We don't ask for people, we've finished this chapter of the Palestinians pleading for the world to come and rescue us. We can rescue ourselves if you at least stop supporting the machine, If the machine is ostracized, then we can keep going, because nothing in the world is going to stop the people in Jerusalem. Nothing in the universe will stop them. But we need you. We need you, if you can't be our voice, just to at least not put a penny that goes to the bullet that shoots our children.
It's so frustrating to me to hear natives have the sentiment, but especially Lakotas. Because Palestinians have gone to Lakota territory and laid their lives on the line twice in history now to stand with you against the US government. Once at the occupation of Wounded Knee, whenever they met with Dennis Banks to offer to stand armed guard for you at Wounded Knee, and the second time at Standing Rock protest. They showed up before a lot of tribes even showed up. I'm Danette. They showed up to stand with us at Black Mesa also. Palestinians have a historical track record of standing with Indian country because they know our fights are intertwined. We know that Native Americans face the highest levels of police brutality and murder in the United States. Do you want to know who trains those American cops? Israel. The violent tactics that American police are taught to use on us, they are taught by the Israelis who develop them by practicing on Palestinians. Absolutely. And your Lakota, you were directly mentioned in a 1923 Zionist manifesto by Zev Jabotinsky. Directly mentioned. In this essay, he was arguing that they had to use violent force against the Palestinians because no native population will willingly let themselves be colonized, because he said the Palestinians have the same jealous love of their homeland as the Sioux for their rolling prairies. Our fights are intertwined. John Trudell knew it. Russell Means knew it. This individualistic mindset is absolutely 100% a colonized mindset. And you think we'd learn from it, because if we actually had all stood together back in the day, we wouldn't be in the boat that we're in right now.
Hello, my relatives. Today's a good day for our grandmother, the earth. But not for the Palestinians. And not for us American Indians, who are the Palestinians of America. And the Palestinians in Gaza are the American Indians of the Middle East.
Hey, today is the Youth International Day, and in this special occasion I want to tell you that Israel killed 24% of youth in Gaza Strip. That means it's not only a genocide, but it's also making sure that there is no one, no generation, no workforce, no intellectual capital like youth to rebuild the society or to rebuild the country after the non-stop tragedies, non-stop bombing and destroying. So while youth around the world are building their lives, building their countries, having chances, having opportunities to work there and here and to study more and to learn more, our youth are under rubble, are in tents, are killed, are missed, are took as hostages and tortured in the prisons, in the Israeli prisons. So I don't think it's fair to celebrate Youth International Day anywhere on this planet while a huge number of youth in Gaza Strip are struggling to survive and then at the end being murdered. I'm a young woman from Gaza Strip, and this day doesn't give me justice and doesn't represent me actually, because 24% of youth in Gaza Strip have been killed.
Watch this get censored. Malcolm X was assassinated a few months after visiting Gaza and Palestine and coming back and writing an article called Zionist Logic. And in that article, he said, Zionism have mastered the art of dollarism. And that's how they got their foot in here in America. Not only does Malcolm X was trying to break the injustices African Americans faced, he was also unifying the struggles of international people to the struggles of African Americans, because we have a common enemy: white supremacy and Zionism. Wow, surprise, surprise. After learning about Palestine and how they face injustices every day by the hands of Zionists, he went to learn firsthand. He was trying to bring light to the fact that every people of color that are oppressed had a common enemy, and that we all have the same struggles in different fonts. And every time he spoke and said blacks, he didn't just mean African Americans. He didn't just mean Africans. He meant Arabs. He meant Asians. He meant Latinos. He meant every people of color that are being oppressed by the hands of white supremacists and Zionists. Zionist Jews here in America were telling African Americans to go do protests, to go do sit-ins, to go scream for their liberation, while they were putting their hands deep in the pockets of Americans here. They were creating businesses and they were creating empires here to get their foot in. They were creating businesses in African American communities that returned nothing back into the community, and that was abusing the community in order to grow. He also talked about how Zionism had a major role in the abuse of Africa and their minerals, and that continues till this day. And after talking all about that and shedding light about all this is when he was assassinated. Malcolm X knew the only way we could win anything is if we come together and create community. If we had a common enemy, which we do, and if we identify that common enemy, that we could work towards that common enemy. He knew that. But the major thing that's attacked here in America is community, is coming together. We are so divided by class, by occupation, by status, by gender, by age, by interest, by left, by right. Everything, we're so divided that we can't even create communities. Imagine if we came together. You know that general strikes only takes 3.5% of the population, but we can't even do that because we are so divided. Do you not understand this? This is why he was assassinated, because he knew the solution, and he knew that so much influence that he had, and that he could have shed so much light into this, but this is never taught in our school. This information is never taught, and not only that, this information coming out is going to be censored. It's going to be, because since May 15, America has had a backdoor access into TikTok's algorithm, and everything that you've been seeing so far has been so censored. So much information that has been coming out has not reached the masses, and it's that disgusting. This is how much power that we had. They are so scared that they have to censor us through a dancing app. This is the power that we have, and you don't even recognize it. Shame.
Just tapping in to say that the CIA is scrolling on their phone, on their belly with their feet kicked up, twirling their hair, watching y'all do their work for them. Dear God, hey. They is giggling and sniggling, child, watching y'all do the work of destroying Black and Palestinian solidarity all by yourselves. Let me preface everything I'm about to say by saying it does not matter whether Palestinians are anti-Black or not. They don't deserve to be genocided. You know? Black and Palestinian solidarity goes all the way back to the Civil Rights Movement. Whether it is Malcolm X's views on Palestinian liberation, whether it's the Black Panther Party that 60% of Black people said they were proud of at the time, or 46% of Black people also said the Black Panther Party represented their values and their views, these people were anti-imperialist and they were pro-Palestinian liberation. And it's because the same school of thought that says that Black people deserve to die because of insert bullshit reason here is the same school of thought that is bringing y'all to say that because Palestinians are quote unquote anti-Black, we shouldn't care about their lives. It's the same mindset, and it's sick. Culture influences politics. It is not a mistake that they are literally putting into the cultural understanding that Palestinians do not deserve solidarity, because they know that our solidarity as Black and Palestinian people is powerful and it is threatening to U.S. hegemony, period. If we live in a world where it is okay to literally exterminate a marginalized group of people, then not a single marginalized person on this earth stands a chance against the empire, period. Your rights cannot be built on the backs of the suffering of other people, because at the end of the day, as long as those people are dehumanized, so are we. As long as those people are not free, we are not living in a liberated society, period. This is the last little thing I'm gonna say. But y'all are more mad at people that are advocating against genocide than y'all are about the actual institutions and systems of fascism that this country is built upon. Hillary Clinton did not lose the 2016 election because of people voting for third parties. She lost because of the Electoral College. Homelessness did not get criminalized out of thin air. That was because of the Supreme Court. Women's rights, Supreme Court. Everything else that we've seen during this Democratic administration has been because of the fascist institutions that this country is built upon. And the Democratic administration did nothing to mitigate any of those harms, period. Because they're building 60 cop cities across the country. And those cop cities will also cross-train with the Israeli occupation forces. Those are your tax dollars. That's going to be going to that. The same system that killed Sonia Massey is the same exact system of oppression that is killing Palestinians right now. That's how linked our struggles are. That's how interconnected our struggles are. So as long as y'all continue to do the work of the CIA, as long as y'all continue to put nationalism above solidarity, above humanity, we are going to continue to be oppressed. Period.